Watson, the state of Washington, the guardians involved in this case are all in the pockets of Big Pharma. That the distribution to Ms. Watson of medication is tantamount to rape, and that she shouldn't be forced or required to take medications because it is inappropriate and unhelpful to her. While Mr. Hahn was guardian of Ms. Watson, he, without court permission and in an attempt to preclude the court or the guardian from directing the guardianship of Ms. Watson, married her, and threatened that if someone were to set aside the marriage, they would have to deal with marriages occurring in potentially numerous other states. In other words, Mr. Hahn was telling everyone, my way or the highway, and boy, can I make your life miserable. When Mr. Hahn was providing care for Ms. Watson, he took every opportunity to allow her or to encourage her or to point out to her that she could live without taking medications. What were the results? Well, he took her for a visit to his family in another state and left her there, where she would wake up the entire family singing in the middle of the night, where she thought on one occasion that she was locked in the house and had to break a window to get out, where he left her there apparently in the care of persons who were unable to assist her when she needed help the most, and her parents came from Washington, or a family member came from Washington down there to pick her up to bring her back. Mr. Hahn frequently would know about the near entry of orders or the entry of orders that hadn't been served and would spirit Ms. Watson away so that those orders could not take effect, leaving her on one occasion in Portland, and then lying about his participation in that activity. Mr. Hahn, while he was providing care for Ms. Watson, and if not encouraging, participating in the negligent non-taking of medications. I'm not saying he should have forced her to take them, but he frankly has a spirit of medications are bad, Big Pharma's got its hand in everyone's pocket, and they don't care about providing care for the disabled or the mentally ill. All they care about is money and control. So with that thought process on his mind, Mary didn't take medications frequently. She was sexually assaulted, I believe, in an alley. She found herself in a truck with a truck driver she didn't know in another state. She was frequently found outside and cold. Mr. Hahn was frequently representing to community psychiatric health, the CPC or the Seattle Mental Health, that he didn't know where she was. Couldn't find her. Or he was telling those facilities and those care managers not to provide her with medications that it amounted to rape.
The forced part.
Yeah. Just offering her the medications, this court views, is, by Mr. Hahn's definition, force.
Not just offering.
Don't.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Hahn has continued to peck away, harass, intimidate, and violate the orders of this court regarding his participation in Mary Hahn's guardianship. He is in contempt of court. The discussions with Mr. Furman do not amount to a revision. Nice try. But that's a violation of the court order, a clear violation of the court order. That's the one item I'm going to find him in contempt of, for haranguing Mr. Furman about his contact with her. He came into court on one occasion, not too long ago, and he brought with him 10 pages of interrogatories to be directed to Mr. Furman. rehashing all these same issues in one way or another. There's no pending litigation. There was no pending modification. The orders signed by Judge Yu were clear. She found that after hearing Mary Watson's testimony, that her testimony on the stand didn't carry the day, Mr. Hahn. The trial court judge who heard that determined that it was not appropriate for you to remain married to her, that the marriage was invalid, that it was fraudulent, that it was simply beyond the pale, and that your participation in Mary's life is beyond the pale. This court is going to modify this guardianship, and it's going to provide that Mr. Hahn will have no access to any party or person who is part and parcel of the guardianship. None whatsoever. He will not be allowed to file any further motions or requests to participate in this guardianship. He will not be able to file any requests under the statute providing that any person may file a motion for modification. He may not, because in his best presentation, he is still arguing that the guardian and the state and the court are simply in the pocket of big pharma, and that their distribution of medications to the mentally ill constitutes nothing more than a rape of the mentally ill person. I hope you don't carry that into your treatment for other persons. I assume that what's going on here is that your long-standing relationship with Mary Watson has so clouded and colored your sense of objectivity and ability to see what's going on is the cause of this bad behavior. But this court, Judge Trickey, Judge Yu, myself, you didn't see any response to those letters to the other judges other than they just all sent it back down here for me to deal with. And I have been patient beyond which I am not going to be patient anymore. I've had it. The court has had it. And the court is not going to put at risk the continued participation of an excellent guardian for Mary, who has her in a condition, in a state that was only a dream when you were participating in her care. You left her in circumstances on so many occasions that actually caused her harm and left her wandering the streets that it's a wonder to me that we gave you the time of day when we first appointed you. But you were appointed, you had an opportunity to show what you could do for your friend. And what you did was destroy that part of her life. So, in re Marriage of Giordano, it's a case at 57 Washington Appellate 74, says that the court can control the access to its courts and can limit your ability to file motions and other pleadings and participate in these proceedings when you deny other persons reasonable access to the courts, and you pepper and essentially waste the time of the judicial officers. And that's what you've been doing. So I'm telling you, Mr. Hahn, today that you are not any person who may file a motion. You are not allowed to file any motions or make any requests of the guardian of the court with regard to Mary Watson. None. The guardian will be required to make a report to the court if Mary Watson ever legitimately asks for access to Mr. Hahn. And then the court will determine whether Mr. Hahn will be allowed to participate or will be provided with that information. That's it. When Mary wants to see you, if she lets the guardian know and the court determines that it's an appropriate request, the court will make contact with you, but otherwise not.
Your Honor,